We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the highly glorified, the sublime and glorious, the beneficent, the one who protects and guides and provides for his servants and all of his creation, the one who evolves, the one who restrains, the one who raises, the one who debases, the one who has the most excellent characteristics and attributes that are incomparable, and nothing is like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amongst those things that Allah has revealed to us in the Quran, inshallah, some of the benefit that has come in the context of weakness and strength in terms of gratitude and ingratitude. Amongst those things, Allah revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, واذكروا أنتم قليل مستضعفون في الأرض تخافون يتخطفكم الناس فآواكم وأيدكم بنصره ورزقكم من الطيبات لعلكم تشكرون. So he said to the Prophet, remind your people of some of their history. So they would remember when they were just a few people. The believers were just a few people in the very beginning, and they were considered and judged to be weak and insignificant, except as a threat to the traditions that the people have become used to. And they were apprehensive that they may be snatched, that they may be captured and enslaved. But Allah says He provided a safe place for you. This is the Prophet reciting to his people. Allah provided a safe place for you and provided for you many good things for your livelihood, so that you may be grateful. In order for you to be grateful, to recognize Allah's bounties and thank Him for those bounties. The Shaykh Abdul Fadah says in Mecca, when the Muslims they began practicing their religion in secret, because the pagans and the fire worshippers, the Romans, the Persians, all these people were enemies to the Muslims. And some of the tribes right there in Mecca and right throughout the peninsula. They were worried that the people may capture them and enslave them. Because they were, as a group, they didn't have strength, military strength, to fight against these people. Qatada bin Di'ama, one of the historians, he says about the Arabs at the time of the Prophet Muhammad before he became prophet. He said the Arabs were the weakest of the weak, they had the toughest life, they had the emptiest stomachs and the barest skin. And they had the most obvious misguidance. They made their own gods and worshiped those gods, and if they got hungry, they would eat them. The ones who lived amongst them lived in misery. Those who died were destined for the hellfire because of their shirk. They were eaten up. They were consumed by other people, their lives, their properties, their valuables, their freedom. And they couldn't consume anybody else. He says, Wallahi, Allah being a witness, we know of no other people on the face of the earth at that time who had a worse life than the Arabs of the peninsula. When Allah brought Islam, He made to be dominant on the earth. And He brought provisions and leadership to them, and they started to rule over other people. It is to Islam that Allah granted all that you see of prosperity, of safety, of well-being. It's to Islam that Allah brought these things to the Arabian Peninsula. And He said, thank you, Lord, for His favors. Everybody. We should thank Allah for His favors, because your Lord is one who bestows favors, and He loves to be praised. And those who thank Allah will experience more of Allah's bounties as He has praised, as He has promised. On the top of Musa alayhi salam, Allah says that He said to His people, تَأْمَنْ رَبُّكُمْ لَإِنْ شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ وَإِنْ كَفَرْتُمْ إِنْ عَذَابِي لَشَدِيدٌ. That is, your Lord proclaims, Musa recited this to His people, reminding His people as the Prophet ﷺ was reciting His own people Allah's bounties, and encouraging them to be thankful for Allah's bounties. And your Lord proclaimed, if you give thanks, indeed I will give you more. But if you are thankless, He didn't say, indeed I will punish you. He said, if you are thankless, my punishment is severe. Allah doesn't promise but punish, because people can always recognize, they have a chance to recognize Allah's bounties and attribute those bounties to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to His favor, and then thank Him for that. Allah make us thankful. So Allah is telling His people, so Musa told His people Allah's tradition, His sunnah, that when those people who recognize Allah's blessing thanks Him, then He gave them more. And especially in terms of Bani Israel, Muslim people who Allah freed from the oppression, the tyranny, and the transgression of Pharaoh, the enslavement of Pharaoh, and gave them all types of good deeds, good blessings, especially all of the prophets and messengers came from their lineage. Allah was telling them, if you appreciate my favor, the reward for that is you get more of my favor. But if you're not thankful for my favor, you can be deprived of my favor and deprived of other things besides the ones that are most immediate, but your sight, your hearing, your mobility, your sense of touch. All these things can be deprived of you. You find those parents whose children have no sense of touch. They say they don't worry about them on the playground because they can see, but when they're eating, you can't see it, they bite their tongue off because they can't feel it. Just a sense of touch. SubhanAllah. See this, the Prophet Dawood, that Allah told him about the inconspicuous nature of some of his blessings when Dawood alayhi salam said to Allah, and the hadith was narrated by, reported that and Dawood alayhi salam قال كيف أشكرك يا رب وشكر نعمة منك قال الآن قد عرفتني وشكرتني إذ قد عرفت أن الشكر مني نعمة قال يا رب أرني أخفى نعمك علي قال يا داود تنفس فتنفس داود فقال الله تعالى ما يحصي هذه النعم الليل والنهار. It was narrated that Dawood alayhi salam said to Allah, how can I thank you, my Lord, for the blessing of your many favors upon me, when even my thanking you is a blessing and a favor from you. Allah said, now Dawood, you have been thankful when you recognize that even your thanking me for my favors is a favor from me, that you can't really do anything. You can't do enough to show Allah how grateful you are, except to recognize that it is Allah who has blessed you. Recognize that it is Allah's favor that you are enjoying. That's when you have thanked Allah appropriately. So Dawood alayhi salam said to Allah, show me the most inconspicuous of your blessings. أخفى نعمك علي. The most inconspicuous. So Allah said, Tanafus. He said, take a breath, Dawood. So Dawood took a breath. He said, who can count the breaths of his days and his nights, or her days and her nights? Just a breath. And realize that every breath you take is borrowed, and the payment is due immediately. You got to give it right back. We're living on borrowed breaths, and we don't know how many in the bank. So any breath could be our last breath. We got to thank Allah. May Allah may have mercy on us. So that is a lesson for the people of Musa alayhi salam, the people of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and a lesson for us, the ummah of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. We talk about the weakness of the early Muslims and their lack of power and strength to defend themselves. The hadith of Abu Kamil al-Jihdari, he narrates from Nafi, the companion of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And Ibn Umar رمل من الحجر إلى الحجر وذكر أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فعله. He narrates that Umar walked swiftly from stone to stone, from the black stone back around to the black stone in his tawaf, making Hajj. And he said that the Messenger of Allah he did this, and this is Sahih Muslim. So the Muhaddithin, Mustalahin of the Hadith, these people in the science of Hadith, they say that this Hadith is teaching us the importance of being swift and energetic in all of our actions, and having a sense of urgent purpose when it comes to doing good deeds. And Tawaf is a good deed. It encourages us to take initiative and not wait for someone else to do something. And that's what defeats a lot of organizations and communities and groups of people, when everybody's waiting on somebody to do something, when anybody could do it but nobody, because everybody waiting on somebody died. So it didn't get done. And the corporations will tell you, if you see something need to be done, do it. We'll talk about it later. But let's not all suffer because it's not my job. I didn't put it there. I ain't the garbage man. SubhanAllah. We have to be able to rely on each other and support each other, and then claim what's left for the hours as responsibility and fulfill that responsibility. That's how we have people doing what they do around here. They fulfill their responsibilities. So the study home says it encourages us to take initiative and not wait on someone else to do something before we act ourselves. And furthermore, it shows us that even small acts can have a big impact on our lives if done with, and it's very important. Small acts can have a big impact on our lives if done with intentionality and a sense of purpose. Intentionality and purpose. And we should strive for excellence. And the hadith says that the believer, when they do something, some of the translations say they perfect it, but it's more like they do it with precision and efficiency. They do it excellently, because Allah is perfect in real time. And we should strive for excellence in all aspects of our life, no matter how small and significant it may seem at first glance. There's another very bold example of being purposeful and a sense of urgency and intentionality in the heart of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam. Sheikh Sayyid Sabiq in his book Fiqh Sunnah, he reports in Abbas, but when the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam and his companions came to Medina, Sheikh Atiyah Salam, who had a chair in the Masjid al-Nabawi in Medina, he would also relate this particular situation when the Prophet ﷺ made his Hajj. And Sheikh Atiyah was the student of Muhammad Amin al-Shampiti, the Mauritanian, who was the Mufti of the Haramain of Medina and Mecca before Sheikh bin Baz. And when Sheikh Muhammad Amin al-Shampiti died, he was doing volumes of tafsir, and before he could finish, he passed away. So his student Atiyah Salam completed those, and here's the one I'm referencing. And interesting enough, Malcolm said, I probably won't live long enough to read this book that was written about him. 9 months after he died, it was actually made available. So there's a sense of urgency when you want to do good. Prophet ﷺ say, expedite it. Do it right away. A lot of us got stories. And people can benefit from our stories. A lot of us have knowledge we can share, skills, things that we can share with people. Leave some of that behind. We come through this world taken from the day we start breathing. So what are we going to leave behind? Everybody can leave something. Anyway, the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, they made intentions to perform Hajj to make it up from the previous year when they had this encounter with the Mushrikun and agreed not to complete the Hajj that year, but to come back. So when they were coming, the Mushrikun were saying, well, these people are coming from Medina. Medina is notorious for fever. They're coming from a place where some of them, at least most of these people, have had it, so they'll be weak. They're coming on foot. It takes about 2 weeks to come to the desert. Sandstorms, scorpions, spiders, predatory animals. All types of things can happen. They'll be weak, they'll be tired, they'll be fatigued, they'll be suffering from the fevers. And someone may have put some type of magic or sorcery or something on them to make them even more weaker. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informed him of this. And some of the narrations say that Jibreel alayhi salam came to the Prophet and informed him. But it's the same thing. If Allah sent Jibreel, Allah still informed him and told him what was happening. So when they came to the Kaaba, Sheikh Atiyah said that, and he's the only one who had reported this hadith with these words. But he said the Prophet told him, let them see your strength today. We're talking about being weak. Now he's talking about strength. They're about to make tawaf around the Kaaba. So he wants them to show a sense of urgency, show their strength, show intentionality and purposefulness. He said, uncover your shoulder, the right shoulder, show your muscles. Uncover your shoulders and run. SubhanAllah. Not fast, just a little run, just a little trot. You're supposed to be sick, you're supposed to be weak, fatigued. So the Mushrikun said, whoa, these the people you're talking about, weak and tired and sick? They showing more strength than we have. After all of that, they're running? SubhanAllah. They never attacked them. So Sheikh Atiyah says your strategy for your battles has to be more effective than the weapons that you choose. Or have the potential of being more effective. Because if you use the wrong strategy, you're really lost. And trying to adjust in real time is not always easy. So this is why we have that tradition of when the people come to Mecca and they're going around the Kaaba, they uncover the shoulder and show their strength and their energy for doing good to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he says that jogging around the Kaaba should be stopped, as there is no longer any need for it. The Muslims have become strong and powerful. However, Umar radiallahu anhu declared it to be continued in its original form so that future generations of Muslims, especially at times like these, when we're wondering how is it that the non-Muslims be having their way so much with the Muslims, taking our properties, depriving us of the opportunity to practice Islam appropriately in some places, slaughtering us. He said that so future generations of Muslims could share a form and feeling similar to that observed and felt by the early Muslims. And it's a reminder to remain prepared at all times in a state of readiness as best you can. Because the IDF, for example, the Israeli Defense Forces, so-called, one of the biggest problems they had with these people who they called in, 300,000 people, they couldn't put on these 25, 35 pounds of gear and run from place to place. They couldn't do it. How much money can we do? We strap up with weight on us if we're on the battlefield. Who knows what's coming to in the future? Battles are being fought on every front now. So we always have the men, especially we have to be fighting sides and fighting shape, inshallah. Muhammad al-Tabari, Sheikh al-Tabari, his tafsir, he says sometimes certain instructions have been prescribed in the deen for a specific reason, and later, even though that specific reason is no longer prevalent, the instructions still remain valid as an admonition and as a reminder. Zayd ibn Absalom said that his father told him that he heard Umar ibn al-Khattab saying, "Why jog around the Kaaba these days?" he asked. "Why uncover our shoulders during Tawaf?" Allah has made Islam strong and powerful, banish disbelief and the disbelievers, and we will never abandon what we used to do during the time of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Allah gives a command in the Quran for all the believers. وَأَعِدُّوا لَهُم مَّا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ وَمِن رِّبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ تُرْهِبُونَ بِهِ عَدُوَّ اللَّهِ وَعَدُوَّكُمْ وَآخَرِينَ مِن دُونِهِمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَهُمُ اللَّهُ يَعْلَمُهُم وَمَا تُنفِقُوا مِن شَيْءٍ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ يُوَفَّى إِلَيْكُمْ وَأَنتُمْ لَا تُظْلَمُونَ. Take this very seriously. Even slightest things you can do to prepare yourself. Allah says, prepare for them all you can of power. Take an inventory of what's available to fight with. It's very important. Today, one of the most important weapons is social media. Social media, with all the garbage that's there, is still one of the most powerful tools we have, because the first casualty of war is the truth. The people control the information. They tell lies, they slant it, they cover the truth, one-sided. People just can't stomach the mainstream media these days because it's so political, it's so slanted, one-sided stories. But the truth is coming out in the social media. Prepare for them all you can of power, including whatever schemes of war you may prepare, and spread all thereby into the hearts of your enemies. And the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And others besides them, the ones that you know as enemies, there are others you wouldn't imagine, but they are your enemies too. And others besides them who you may not know, but Allah does know them. Whatever you expend in the cause of Allah will be repaid to you, and you will not be dealt with unjustly. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah inna al-quwwa al-ramyu. Allah inna al-quwwa al-ramyu. That is that, is it not that the strength itself is marksmanship? The strength itself is marksmanship. So he's saying that marksmanship, whatever your weapon may be, make sure you're good with your weapon. If it's your hands, make sure you're good with your hands. If you have the weapons that you're using when you're in a battle situation, make sure you know your weapon. So just take their guns, take them apart, put them back, take them up, so you know your weapons. Half of the job is having the right weapon, the other job is knowing what to do with it, how to use it. So Allah prepares, says, prepare whatever you can. Allah says others besides them, the ones that you're aware of. But the Prophet ﷺ was known to be, or was said to be Bani Qurayza, the clan of the Jews who were always causing problems with the Prophet ﷺ, as well as the hypocrites. And then Allah revealed another verse, فَمِمَّنْ حَوْلَكُمْ مِنَ الْأَعْرَابِ مُنَافِقُونَ وَمِنْ أَهْلِ الْمَدِينَةِ مَرَضُوا عَلَى النِّفَاقِ لَا تَعْلَمُهُمْ نَحْنُ نَعْلَمُهُم سَنُعَذِّبُهُم مَّرَّتَيْنِ ثُمَّ يَرْجِعُونَ إِلَىٰ عَذَابٍ غَلِيظٍ. And among the Bedouins around you, Muslims in Medina, some are hypocrites. Hopefully they are known amongst us here. And so are some among the people of Medina who persist in hypocrisy. You know them not. We know them. Same applies for the situation in America. A lot of everywhere else. People infiltrate. They come in. Old practice. All from garbage, from the slave, all the way through. Every situation, infiltration. So I said, you might not know them, but I know them. And they should know Allah knows them. And they have account to Him for what they do. So you see this guy who infiltrated the Panthers in Chicago, caused their brother's death, he ended up taking his own life. He couldn't live with that. He couldn't reconcile what he had done. Betrayed his people. SubhanAllah. And why do we always kill the people who want peace and justice? King and the Kennedys, Nick Evers. Why are we killing people who are talking about peace and justice and equality and embracing each other as a people? What does that mean for us as a society? Maybe we don't want that. Let's not be naive. Maybe we don't want that as a country. The question has to be asked. So the reality is, that's not what we're striving for when we're killing people who are the main proponents of that and can influence that. As long as not when we're talking about the battle of the bullet, okay, yeah, let him talk. Now he's talking about, no, that's important. No, now he got to go. So what do we do? SubhanAllah. Allah verifies that He is the creator, owner, and the controller of the entire universe. All matters of creation destroyed except the loss of subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is al-Baqi. As He was in the beginning, He will be the only one remaining. People need to understand that we can never have complete ownership of anything or anybody, complete control of anything or anybody. That's only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah told the Muslims after the Battle of Uhud, when they had over 70 casualties, and the Prophet ﷺ was injured, subhanAllah, and it struck to their hearts. So inshallah, just to read the English portion of those verses, explanation. Many similar ways. Allah telling the Muslims, what you're going through, many similar ways and mishaps of life were faced by nations, those believers and disbelievers who have passed away before you. People of Gaza, it's not the first time something like that has ever happened. It's not the first time. Many similar ways were faced by people before you. So travel the earth and see what was the end of those who denied, the perpetrators. Allah says this is a plain statement for mankind, a guidance and instruction for the muttaqeen. The question to the people, the human beings of the world, how much can you stand to see of inhumanity? Just gross inhumanity. How much can your inhumanity, how many do we have to digest before you say, that's enough? Y'all need to stop this. And the more and more voices are being raised with that statement, believe me, something will have to happen. So Allah is testing the human family. Are y'all deserving to even be on the face of the earth? All of us, perpetrators and victims. So Allah says, this is a plain statement for mankind, a guidance and instruction specifically for those who fear Allah, the muttaqeen. So do not become weak, nor be sad, for you will be triumphant, if you are indeed believers. If a wound has touched you, be sure a similar wound has touched the others. Such are the days that will give to people that they revolve, and the power revolves, and the control revolves amongst different people and nations. The Shanghai Empire, the Timbuktu Empire, the Persian Empire, they came and went. Great empires. That day is over. The American Empire will not last forever. It's young. It's not even 200 years old yet, 2,000 years old yet. SubhanAllah. Such are the days we give to you an alternate terms that Allah may make known by testing those who believe, and so that He may identify the martyrs from among you. Allah may like the wrongdoers, and that Allah may test those who believe and destroy the disbelievers. Do you think you will enter paradise before Allah makes known those who defend the faith and those who are patient? And Allah makes us those who defend the faith and those who are patient. And close out on this hadith, on this ayah. Allah says to us, لا يغرنك تقلب الذين كفروا في البلاد وتعالوا قليلا ثم مأواهم جهنم وبئس المهاد. He said, don't be deceived by those people who have free range in the land. Go where they want to go and want to do, and claim to even be God, just like Pharaoh. Don't be deceived by their free range in the land. The disbelievers. A brief enjoyment is theirs now. Then their fate will be, and their abode will be in the hellfire forever. And worse indeed is at the place for seeking rest. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us to be able to listen to what comes to us of wisdom from His book, and to internalize that and manifest that in our actions, inshallah. That we will get this thing correct in our hearts, this Islam, and we will come out on our limbs and see it in our communities and our families, and inshallah throughout the world. May Allah give peace and blessing Prophet Muhammad.